I am tired. I need a cup of coffee. Morning, babe. What is that? What? Oh, it's just creatine. Creatine? What? You mean the stuff that Arnold was taking that made him big? No, I just got it from the store. They said it was gonna give me gains. Oh, no. But, baby, I said the one thing don't do is don't do steroids, whatever you do. But, what am I gonna do? Wait.
What's going on, guys? This is Zenny coming from Holy Kinetics. We're here to do another breakdown of a topic today. Today, we're gonna be talking about creatine, the stuff that your mom used to think that was steroids. Let's dive into it. So let me give you a brief history lesson. 1832, a scientist by the name of Michael Eugene Chevalier was known to discover creatine monohydrate. But it wasn't until the 1990s where creatine monohydrate actually came onto the fitness industry and into the fitness scene. Now, unlike what your parents used to think that creatine is a steroid, creatine is actually a naturally occurring compound that's found in a lot of protein products. It's actually found in a few different veggies as well. Creatine can be found in a lot of red meats. It can be found in a lot of different types of fish. Creatine is also something that the body naturally produces on its own through the liver and kidneys. And the main job of creatine is basically to supply energy to your cells within your body, more so within your muscular cells in your muscular tissue. Now, when it comes to creatine, there are many forms of different types of creatine that have come up onto the market, and they have been kind of claimed to do various different things, and we're gonna break down those today. The main focus that we have is creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate is the most researched and the widest form used of creatine. Probably one of the better forms of creatine just for its research and studies that have been done showing that it does in fact increase muscular performance. There's also other forms like a creatine ethyl ester, which is a form attached to different molecules in a different creatine compound. It's meant to help it break down a little bit better and better absorption. But still, there's not a lot of claims to really prove that that's the case. There's even creatine hydrochloride, which another form of it which helps for it to break down more so in water and things of that sort. Now, these different forms of creatine are always going to be sold on a different market where they are trying to promote a different use of creatine or a better, more highly efficient use of creatine. But at the end of the day, your best bet is always just going to be creatine monohydrate. It has the most studies that have backed it up. It works. But what does creatine actually do in the body? Creatine increases the availability of something called phosphocreatine, or PCR. PCR within the muscles helps for energy to be created within those muscles for more endurance to happen in there. Phosphocreatine, or PCR, is an energy-rich molecule that actually helps to create what they call ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, which is the primary energy source within your muscles to create muscle contractions. Hence why creatine helps for muscle endurance to start and help for muscle endurance to be created in the first place. Creatine supplementation has been known to enhance the capacity of any type of short duration, high intensity exercises, as well as weightlifting. Can also be beneficial for sprinters, as well as people that do long distance jumping or long distance running. There have been many various scientific studies that have proven time and time again that creatine is in fact a good supplement to 1, increase muscle mass, 2, help to increase energy endurance within those muscles, and 3, increase your performance and recovery overall when doing those various motions and various exercises. Creatine, though it's something that it's not gonna give you stellar results because it's not a steroid, it does work. And it does carry many benefits within the body. And the crazy part about it is your body already produces it already. Now, one of the big things that's always noticed when you take creatine is that you seem to somewhat gain a ton of size within the first week to 2 weeks of it. Now, you can direct that a lot towards water retention. Now, what does creatine do? Creatine creates what they call an osmotic effect. So it actually helps to attract water to the muscles, causing them to fill up, similar to a glycogen response or an insulin response within the muscle, but it's water. Hence hence why water retention increases. Most of the time your bloating is going to be increased as well. Those energy stores, because water is in the muscle, allows for the muscle to be able to push harder and have more endurance because there is more ATP flowing in those muscles, and it causes for better gains. Hence why creatine has been known as something that has always been on the market this whole time as a utilizable supplement for your fitness journey. Now, the great thing about creatine is not something that you have to cycle on and cycle off with, though a lot of people do it anyway, just for the use of it. And the best part about creatine is that the side effects are pretty minimal, but there are still side effects to be mindful of. One thing to always be mindful of is any type of gastro issues. So that's anything like, stomach discomfort, bloating, gas. All of this is pretty normal when you do start to take creatine, especially for the first usually 3 days when you are loading that creatine. Reason being is because that osmotic effect that we talked about earlier is gonna shove water into the body. It's gonna allow water to just be retained. So the more water you drink, the more water is gonna be stored into your body. Water being stored can cause some bloating, can cause some gas, can cause some discomfort. And if you take it in high amounts, especially on an empty stomach, those gastro issues can increase even more. So bear that in mind. Some other things that also come up, which is some people will say is a side effect, but not necessarily a side effect, depending on how you look at it, is weight gain. This is because of how we said that water retention that happens from that ATP. There's also been a few studies where heavy amounts of creatine over long periods of time can have some strain on the kidneys just for being able to break it down. So keep that in mind as well. And of course, with more water being absorbed by your muscles, dehydration is always a factor that you need to keep in mind as well. Hence, they say if you're going to be taking creatine, drink a lot of water. And if you are taking creatine and you're on a workout schedule and a type of mesocycle, then you should be increasing your water even more, because the one thing you don't want to get is cramps coming from the use of your creatine, which can get pretty bad. As far as dosages, it's good to always take the first 1 to 3 days if you are starting a creatine regimen to do what they call a load up. So it helps to take around 20 grams or so for the first 3 days every day to help your body become saturated with the creatine within the body. And then after your 3 days of loading, you could drop that down to around either 5 to 7 grams for your average person using creatine. And if you're a high level athlete, say if you're working maybe 5 to 6 times a week, you can bump that number all the way to 5, 7. You can even go up to 10 grams a day as far as your creatine amount, as long as you keep your water intact at the same time. As long as you maintain hydration, those dosages should be fine. I know with me, with my creatine regimen, I take around 5 grams a day, and that seems to do me good. It's a good amount. I don't get too much where I'm retaining too much water, but I have just enough water retained to allow for ATP to develop in my muscle, giving me more gains at the end of the day. So what is my advice when it comes to creatine? 1, creatine is a great supplement to include into your regimen. I recommend it for pretty much anybody, as long as you don't have any type of gastro issues when it comes to bloating. If you don't like bloating, then I really don't recommend you using a creatine, because at the end of the day, almost all creatines in some way, shape, or form is gonna give you a little bit of bloating, a little bit of gas, a little bit of gastro discomfort, and that just comes from the water retention. It's pretty much unavoidable. So if that's something that you really don't want to deal with, then I don't recommend creatine. But if you don't mind that and you stick to the recommended dosages of what was said, then creatine can be something, like I said, it can be used long term. You can use it as much as you like because your body automatically produces it anyway. You're only increasing what your body already produces. So there's no additions that's being made to it. You're only adding on top of what your body's already creating. Hence, it's not a steroid. So you can go and tell your mom and dad back in the day when they used to think that creatine was a steroid because all the bodybuilders had it and it was in all the stores and everybody was saying it was gonna give you 20 or 30 pounds of muscle. It's not a steroid. It is a naturally occurring compound. You don't need to be afraid of it. You don't need to be shy of it. You don't need to look at it as if it's something that's too peculiar. It is perfectly fine and natural for you to take. And at the end of the day, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I want to keep this short and sweet for you guys. I'm gonna start taking these videos and actually tapering them down so I can give you this information in a real quick, concise manner for you guys. And if you guys like this format, please let me know in the comments. Please also like, share, follow, and subscribe for any more information that you guys want to be able to break down onto this channel. And without further ado, this is Zenny coming from Holy Kinetics. Peace.